everyone, it's Laura Myers for CMS-Connected. Today I'm speaking with Paul Hagen, the head of Customer Experience and Innovation Strategy at West Monroe Partners, to discuss a recent report they released with the Customer Experience Professionals Association called Adapt or Fail, the Customer Experience Imperative. Inside, there were some really shocking statistics on where organizations stood in their customer experience strategy, so I wanted to sit down with Paul to go over some of those findings. Hey Paul, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic, thank you. One of the findings in the report is there isn't much consistency in who should lead the charge of adaptability in the customer experience. When I think of companies who perhaps can't afford to hire someone whose sole responsibility is the customer experience, which team do you think should be responsible?
Well, I think a big message in the report was that customer experience is someone who's leading the charge, whether they have the title or not. Often companies are trying to improve the customer experience because if you do it and customers love you, they want to buy more, they'll stick with you, all of those types of things. And for anyone who's focused on improving the customer experience, there's some core foundational things that they do that lend themselves really wonderfully to this whole notion of building adaptability. So I think the big message in the report was, hey, look at if you're having troubles increasing business agility and you're finding yourself not experimenting and getting out in front of customers or doing things quickly, and customers hate what you're doing, but you invested a lot, in getting it right the first time. Hey, look to the person who's doing customer experience because they're doing a lot of the things, have a lot of the skills, are close to the customer. It's a great person to run these things or push them forward.
That said, should companies give that specific role more consideration in their budget allocation? What is the likelihood that they'll see enough of a return? And are there advantages to having a specific customer experience person beyond just a higher revenue? Do you think that it really brings anything else to the organization?
Well, so there's a couple of questions there. In terms of the return on investment for customer experience, I like to go through a couple layers of what I would call the economics of customer experience. And look, we're all customers ourselves. If you have a horrible experience with a company, you probably don't want to do business with them. And when they're trying to cross-sell something to you, you probably are like, yeah, that was, I got hosed the first time. I'm not going to do it, something the second time. So, one piece of the economics is just, what I would call the loyalty economics. I'm either going to stay with you or I'm not going to stay with you. I'm going to buy more or I'm going to buy less. And both of those are directly related to I've either had good experiences or bad experiences. A second aspect of this is what I would call referral economics. How many times do we, either in the business world or the consumer world, ask someone for advice? Hey, I'm looking for, a real estate agent, or I'm looking for, some speakers, or I've got kids and they need headphones now, looking for a present. You go ask people. You turn to social media. The notion of recommendations is a second aspect. So it's the referral economics. Again, really hard to quantify, but common sense tells us it's out there and people are quantifying it. So, a lot of times people are afraid of it because it's difficult to quantify. But those who do find, that word of mouth, the power of reputation and word of mouth is worth something. Companies have valuations based on brand and brand strength. So similarly, customer experience, I think, is an incredibly important and I would say increasingly important aspect of a company's net worth and future earnings based on that. The last one, which is probably the easiest, and when you're just getting going, is the project economics. I mean, we've all gone through really broken processes where, gosh, I'm trying to give you money, and it's so freaking difficult. It's like, I'm just trying to buy something from you. Let me, right? So there's simple fixes in customer experience where, if you fix it, was working with a company that had something like a 2% conversion rate on enrollments. And, we did some videotaping of the process to actually enroll, and 2 out of 4 people couldn't actually get through the application form because there were weird things going on in the background, right? So if I focus on a project that improves that customer experience, I'm going to get a higher conversion rate just on that process alone. Or, if I hit some of the big pain points of customers, they're not going to call in to the contact center. I know how much per call each of those issues raise. So at the most simple level, there's project economics. So when you combine all of that together, the power, it adds up to a lot, and you can be getting operational efficiency as well, right away, as well as customer experience efficiency. So that's the ROI piece of it. So the other side of your question is, do I invest, and how much do I invest in customer experience? And I often say, hey, customer experience is as much or more a mindset than an investment. Every company has processes put in place to deliver value out to customers. It's just, have you taken a customer lens? Do you understand not just what you're doing to customers, but what are you doing for customers? So to me, it's a lot of just do your job differently, and oftentimes it's putting a little bit more effort up front to save yourself on the back end. It's much easier to proactively think about the customers and how they're going to interact with your processes and services and so forth than to have to deal with all of the broken stuff on the end, because then you've invented it and now you've got to go actually fix it, reinvent it, and you're actually having to deal with customer service calls and all of that as well. So I don't think it's a net investment. I think it's really a mindset shift and a perspective shift within companies. And that's non-trivial, because it's culture, it's people, it's the way things have been done, it's software and the way software works, it's business schools and the way kind of the operating model of companies has been put together. So it's non-trivial, but I don't necessarily think there's a specific investment that goes into it. But the upsides are great.
I love how you broke that down in your explanation. Another point you made in the report that I really liked is how CX professionals are equipped to succeed quickly with less risk and can generally usher in a new, more agile way of thinking. What is it about their skill set that makes them more successful in this way?
Well, so first, a foundation of any good customer experience program is all about starting to listen and pay attention to customers. As a customer experience person, when I first came into this, I felt like I was infected with a disease of sorts. Like every time I turned around and I saw a toaster that was hard to work, or I hit a doorway and I didn't know whether to pull or push, it drove me crazy. I was like, someone didn't think about the human side of that in the design. So I think first and foremost, what a customer experience person brings to the table is a great sense of empathy for what is the customer actually trying to do, and frames a problem in a different way. The problem is not what we're trying to do, but how do we solve the customer's problem? So I think that's really, really important to begin with. I think most customer experience professionals realize that you're never going to get it right the first time. And the sooner you bring customers into co-create solutions or new designs with you, bringing that voice of the customer in really early and often leads you to, oh, we thought we were trying to solve this, and we actually got there, and as soon as the customer started using it, they kind of wanted something else. So I went from A to B, but realized I needed to get to C, and when I got to C, I needed to get to D. But doing that in a safe, early, low-resolution prototype kind of way allows you to get to a better solution, I think, faster. So, at least for those two reasons alone, I think, customer experience professionals are just, super, super geared towards this.
I definitely agree. In the report, you also suggest that one way to increase agility is to increase the velocity of customer insights, and that's a huge conversation right now when you think of all the data organizations have been collecting before really knowing what to do with it. What are the ways you suggest CX professionals can help businesses really put those insights into action?
Yeah, at the most basic level, again, the foundation for any decent customer experience program is starting to build a voice of the customer program. Let's get the customer's perspective on what's going on. Well, oftentimes with those, and many of the modern tools for managing voice of the customer programs have really robust reporting mechanisms where I can, instantly not only receive customer feedback, but report that out to people in the field, managers, any different departments, geographic levels, and so forth. So I think just sharing those insights with the people who could actually, change, whether it's a person in the field, a salesperson, an operations person, so they're getting that feedback and can adapt their behavior, I think is incredibly, incredibly powerful. In some of the more sophisticated organizations, Intuit for years has had this, and I see more companies building almost online communities or online customer panels. So more and more I have ad hoc research. If I get my customers to opt in to letting me send a prototype by you, give me feedback on something. We've got a question. Well, let's go actually, rather than navel gaze and talk to each other about it, let's actually go talk to some customers. So Intuit had a program called the Follow Me Home program, where their CEO used to stand in parking lots and Office Depot parking lots, and if someone came out, tap them on the shoulder and say, "Hey, do you mind if I follow you home?" I don't know how many restraining orders he got, but the point is, what he really wanted to do is see what the out-of-box experience. You take the CD out, you put it in your computer, you set it up, you're starting to try to use TurboTax or whatnot. What's that experience look like and feel like? They've instituted a program now, so that's not necessarily scalable, having your CEO in the parking lot. They've instituted a program where they've gotten customers to opt in to the Follow Me Homes, and within a couple of days, a program manager or product manager can request a Follow Me Home and be connected with a customer to do research. Right? That's a capability within, a more robust capability within a voice of the customer program that can get those insights and get customers participating in a design process earlier and have impact earlier in a process, and again, lead to a better result faster. So, it's things like that. There's, online communities, whether it's, Passenger or Lithium, that, are doing this kind of thing as well. The tools for doing that kind of research, you don't have to follow them all the way to the house. When you're talking about digital types of things, I can watch, just watch someone virtually, how they're interacting with software. So lots and lots of tools out there, and customer experience pros are using many of those to, get, not only collect the insights, but then distribute them out to and include people who are trying to make decisions and usually are just making those decisions at a gut level.
I agree. I think a large part of it is getting those insights into the hands of the people who can action them the best. Well, that's all the questions I have for you, Paul. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on today.
It was my pleasure. That was Paul Hagen of West Monroe Partners discussing the advantages of bringing a CX professional into your organization, but how, as he states, it's better to look at customer experience as more of a mindset than just an investment. For all that and more on the wide world of digital business, make sure you're always tuned in right here at CMS Connected.